I was talking fantasy football with my friends the other day.
Alan. Bravo.
Echo.
November.
Tango. On.
Football.
Welcome back, everybody, to Bent on Fantasy Football. We are here in the dungeon. I've got my good friend Josh here, and we are hyped up. We've got so much coming up this week that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the draft that we had last week. But before we get to that, we've got something really special coming up next week to kick off the 2021 football season. What do we got going on, Josh?
We're going to be doing a live event on both Facebook and YouTube Live. From Marco's Vapors.
Yep. So it's 1957 Polish Road. It's right across from Bush Jewelers here in Rockford, Illinois, right out by Cherryville Mall. So if you're not from Rockford, you may not know where that's at, but it's 1957 Polish Road. If you are here in Rockford, you probably know where that's at. Come on out and see us. Grab your jersey, throw it on. Come out and watch us do this crazy little thing we do every week and have fun with. So we should have a good time with it. There's going to be a tailgate. We're gonna have jerseys, the whole 9 yards, and it's all to kick off the 2021 season, and we are gonna have a blast with it.
You can actually see us make a fool out of ourselves live rather than online.
Yeah, it won't be a recorded fool. It'll be two live fools. Awesome. So I'm stoked about that. But also, just a couple things that I want to make you guys aware of too. We do have a website. It's up and running now. That being said, it's a little outdated. I got some pages to change on there, but that's all right. I'll get to that this week. It's at bentonfootball, all one word, .godaddysite.com. I'll mention that again near the end of the program, but just so you know, go check it out. We're going to have a link to Marco's Vapors on there. And we're going to have a whole bunch of stuff, the NFL rulebook, the whole 9 yards on it, just ton of information. So check it out when you get the opportunity, and I will update that, I promise you. Do have a question for you, though, Josh. What kind of beer are you drinking this week?
My beer, I'm drinking. Come see us live at Marco's on 9/8. 6 p.m.
Yeah.
The day before kickoff.
That's right. You can also watch Facebook for some of the promos we're going to be putting out for that. You're absolutely going to love it. And,
what kind of beer are you drinking?
Going along with the Marco's theme, Marco's Vapor or Bust. And we will be there on Wednesday of next week. That's the 8th. So definitely, like I said, come out and see us. Josh, real good friend of mine. We hang out. We have a good time together until draft day comes. Draft day, my good friend Josh here becomes my mortal enemy, Josh, at least for a few hours.
That's right.
This last week, we had a draft. How'd you feel about the draft?
I think I kicked your butt, but we'll go through some of our picks here, and we'll let you decide.
Yeah. So Josh had the number 1 overall pick. I had the number 7 overall pick. And
I'm going to interrupt, Alan. This is the 3rd week in a row that he's forgot to crack open our beers.
Yes. We introduced our beers, but I didn't crack it open. My bad.
Absolutely. Cheers to you.
So, guys, I want you to sit back, pop open a cold one, and enjoy the show. Good for Papa. All right. So, Josh had the number 1 pick overall. I had the number 7 pick overall, and we lost the website here I don't know what happened to our mouse, but it ran away. Here, try using the mouse again there and see if we can fix it. But anyway, Josh had the number 1 pick overall. I had the number 7 pick. So we're going to talk about our first 4 picks, the first 4 rounds, who we picked, and kind of what the thought process was behind that. So, Josh, who was your number 1 overall pick?
I don't think it's a surprise to anyone here, but Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
That the usage that he's going to get in that offense just supersedes any other running backs, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount that of touches he's going to get this season. He's far and beyond when it comes to fantasy points, especially if you're in a full PPR league, full point PPR league. the points you're going to get just on receptions alone is going to be ridiculous. So we talked about that a little bit last week. So excellent pick, by the way.
Absolutely, thank you.
If it was me picking first, I'd have done the same thing again.
I know.
Okay, so my first pick at number 7 was Austin Eckler. I got him. Kind of felt like he was a steal at that point. All these running backs are going off, and if we could get our website pulled up here again, I totally screwed that up. But anyway, at number 7, I needed a running back. I made up my mind at the beginning of this draft that I wasn't going to go with the 2 running backs at the beginning. That quickly changed. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But I got Eckler at number 7.
And I really like Eckler this year. And like I said, Alan and I disagree. Zeke went at number 9, 2 picks behind him.
Yeah.
I would have taken him much earlier than that. I thought Zeke would have been a steal at number 7. I do like Zeke better than Eckler this year, but Eckler I'm very high on as well. His usage is going to be huge.
Yeah, we talked about this a few minutes ago with Elliott. I like Elliott. I think he's a great running back. He's going to have some big points this year. But my problem with him is, and I ran into this last year, where if Prescott goes down, the whole team falls around him.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't take that chance again this year. I had Prescott on one league and I had Elliott on the other league. Prescott went down and I suffered on both leagues. So I was kind of shying away from the Cowboys in general this year. Just because of that, the wounded warrior thing is not good. So, kind of skipped over Dallas as much as I could. I would have taken him if I'd got a really good steal on, late rounder. I probably would have taken him, but I didn't. So, on to the second round. So coming back down, I picked Aaron Jones as my second pick.
And I'm shocked that he actually fell that far. I
too.
figured he would go toward the end of the first round, very beginning of the second round.
We had some really weird picks, and I really wish I could pull it up and kind of run it through you. But we had some really weird picks in the draft. We had one person who, what was the third overall pick? It was
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams, yeah. Third overall, Devontae Adams. Yeah, it's a good pick in the later round, maybe second, third round, something like that. But not in the first round, not number 3 overall.
I would start looking at him around 7 to 10 overall, but 3 is just far too early, especially when that same person who drafted Devontae Adams really reached in the third round for 3-3 over third round, third pick for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and that kind of set the tone. It really changed things with the draft and how we were drafting. At least I personally, my strategy changed based on the Aaron Rodgers pick. So in the second round, who did you get in the second round?
I was up again. It's a 10-team league, so I was up again back at number 20. No, I was really targeting somebody like an Antonio Gibson, one of those high usage running backs. He didn't get back to me. DK Metcalf was another guy I was looking at. He went pick 19 right before me. But I was pretty happy I was able to get Calvin Ridley. And last year, if we remember correctly, he led the NFL in air yards.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be even more targets this year with the departure of Julio.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of receptions left on the table. We talked about this before. There's going to be a lot of receptions that somebody's going to need to get to fill the void of Jones leaving. And Ridley's the guy to do it. I mean, he's poised to have a fantastic season this year. That pick at number 2, or at your number 2 pick, is a fantastic pick, I think.
And I didn't think he would get back to me then. And my next guy, even we'll talk about, I didn't think he would be there either. So I am just thrilled with.
Let's move on to number 3. Let's move on. You had the next pick.
Okay, I had the next pick. So Najee Harris at number 21 overall.
Yeah, that was a fantastic find right there.
And that really shocked me because I think he's the workhorse, hands down. Pittsburgh's already said that they want to use him like that for that Le'Veon Bell role that was vacated a couple years ago. Yep. So his volume is going to go through the roof. Yep. And at 21 overall, I love it.
No, it's a great pick at 21. As you're looking at our draft board and you're seeing all these running backs going away, to find somebody like that in the third round, first pick, is a real steal. My thought process going into this again was to not do 2 running backs at the beginning, just to do 1 running back and then maybe wide receivers. that all got blown out when I had an opportunity to pick up Jones in the second round. So that totally changed my draft strategy at that point.
Absolutely.
And I was kind of reshuffling and trying to figure it out. Josh being ahead of the game, he got his running back. He got his wide receiver and his running back in rounds 2 and 3. So he's at this point he's got 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver. I've got two running backs. Coming back up for round 3, I got Lamar Jackson. The reason I took Jackson, I wanted to wait on quarterbacks until quite a few were off the board and so on. Patrick Mahomes went fast. Aaron Rodgers went fast.
Josh Allen went before that also.
Josh Allen went fast. So at this point, I'm looking at the list of quarterbacks, and the elite ones are starting to dwindle away on me. So I know that.
Kyler Murray went right before you as well.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Actually, the pick right before me, I believe. So at this point, I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing Justin Herbert, and then the field drains really severely after that. So I had to jump on a quarterback, and I jumped on Lamar Jackson.
And you know me, he's still my number 1 quarterback, Lamar Jackson. A little early for me personally, but to get an elite quarterback, like we said before, you can't lose the draft in the early rounds,
right?
But you can win it in the mid to late rounds. Yeah. So
we've got some picks coming up, and we're going to talk about some of our sleeper picks that we've got that we were able to get. And I think you're going to find some real diamonds in the rough there. Hidden gems, I guess I should say.
But I absolutely love Lamar Jackson. No problem with that pick at all whatsoever. I like it.
I'm a little tentative, I shouldn't say tentative. I was a little tentative picking Jackson, and the only reason is he's been phenomenal 2 years in a row. He's been fantastic. He was fantastic 2 seasons ago. He was really, really good last season. Not quite as good as he lost a little bit from the season before, but. I just don't want to see that decline again. I think, with his legs, he can't run like that all the time forever. It's just not physically possible. But while he's young, I got him on my team, and he can run all he wants.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, so the first 3 rounds have come and gone, and we're on to the 4th round. I'll let you go ahead, even though my pick was next. I'll let you go ahead and fill us in on your number 4 pick there.
Okay, my number 4 pick, and I really, really like this guy. He's another running back, workhorse running back. I think he's being undervalued in many, many leagues, and that's Chris Carson.
Yeah. Now, I think it's interesting that you had 2 running backs and a wide receiver, and then you went running back again. Tell me your idea behind that.
Well, you know me. I'm high on. There's a few guys that I am pretty high on. Brandon Ayuk, Jerry Jeudy. I was actually able to get them later rounds, so I didn't have the pressing need for a wide receiver like I did taking the best player available. If there would have been a wide receiver there that I had higher on my list than Chris Carson, I would have taken him. But Chris Carson by far was the best player available, so I took him there, and I was happy with that pick.
Well, and what I think is really cool is you mentioned that you weren't so worried about wide receivers because you had some that you were going to try to get in the later rounds that you thought would be really good ones, right? I had the same mentality going at this point. I pretty much, after the first 2 rounds, I got, in the 3rd round, I got my quarterback. So I have no wide receivers at this point. So I'm not really freaking out yet. I'm just kind of laying back and going, okay, so I'm going to wait. I got some stuff that, I can get Pittman late, or I can get either Pittman late, or I can get Michael Thomas late because he, obviously he's going to be out for the first 6 weeks or so. So I'm thinking there's a lot of stuff going on later rounds that I can make up for it. With that in mind, in the 4th round, I picked Allen Robinson, Chicago Bear. And, I'm always tentative about picking any Bear. I'm a huge Bears fan, but I'm tentative about it because, again, this is one of those things that is all going to depend on the quarterback, and if he sees Robinson, if he throws to him, all these different things, what kind of chemistry Dalton and Robinson have going on, or Fields and Robinson, whoever it is. So I was a little bit leery about that, but Robinson, no matter who the quarterback is, has been consistently good every year. So I'm hanging my hat on him. I got me a Bear. I got me a Packer too, but that's all right. I'll still survive the season, no worries. So I got me my Bear.
And I absolutely loved Allen Robinson at this point. Like you just mentioned, he's quarterback proof. Jacksonville, he really didn't have anybody throwing to him, and he really thrived in that offense from a fantasy perspective. And then last year, who do you have throwing to him? Mitch?
Yeah, Mitch
and Foles. And he thrived in a fantasy environment there again. So he's really quarterback proof, and I wouldn't be surprised for him to get 150 to 170 targets this year.
Yeah, I'm looking around the 150 mark myself as far as how many targets he's going to get, because I think the need is there. I think the Bears are going to have to throw a lot. Their ground game is going to be better this year, I think, but it's still going to warrant a lot of throws. I think they're going to be playing from behind quite a bit.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got our first 4 rounds in the books now, and at this point, I've got one wide receiver, 2 running backs, and a quarterback. And Josh, you've got 3 running backs and
a receiver.
So let's talk about your quarterback situation. Obviously, you waited on the quarterback. Who did you end up with as a quarterback?
I actually took 2 quarterbacks. I took Baker in the 12th. Okay. And we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Baker's looking for that big Josh Allen contract, that Josh Allen money. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if he had a huge year. I'm also high on Odell Beckham this year. I wasn't able to get him, unfortunately. But then in the 14th, another guy who I'm really high on in that offense, Joe Brady came over from LSU a few years ago. Remember the records they set there with Joe Burrow? Mm-hmm. Sam Darnold. I think he's a real sneaky pick in the 14th round.
I think he's a real risky pick.
He's a real risky pick too, but I can't start both. So, I'll look at the matchups, and I already have Christian McCaffrey on that offense, so I needed to get some part of that offense.
I understand. Yeah, you got Christian McCaffrey on there, and he's going to be like, everything for that offense. So,
absolutely.
So you got a big part of that offense is what you got.
I have the part of that offense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm again, your number 1 quarterback, your starting quarterback, I love it. Your backup, not loving it, not feeling it, but
we'll have a different conversation when Sam Darnold's on pace for 5,000 yards halfway through the season.
Yeah.
Probably not,
so
by the way.
But not having that conversation.
Yeah. So probably not.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on a little bit. We want to talk about, before we get into our sleeper picks in the later rounds, we want to talk about what's got you bent.
What's got me bent on fantasy football, and this actually happened to us this Sunday in our draft. Unorganized commissioner. Yeah. Okay. Now, what I mean by that is a commissioner that doesn't set the draft order ahead of time. Our draft was supposed to start at noon.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
I think we started around 1:30 or so.
Yeah. We
kept having to push it back, because the site that we use, you have to set it 15 minutes advance, and then you can't change it for another 15 minutes. So,
now I will say, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I will say in defense of our commissioner, there were some extenuating circumstances, and I was a part of that. So it's partially my fault. I don't want to lay all the blame on him. So Mark, I got your back, bro. But yes, no, you're right. We should have had all this done the week before, and it turned into a big headache. And so yeah, I can see why that's got you bent for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what's got you bent on fantasy football?
What has got me bent is, so I don't subscribe to cable. Okay, I don't have Comcast, I don't have Charter, I don't have any of that stuff. I have an antenna that I plug in. I have Netflix, I have Hulu, I have all that stuff, right? What's got me bent is that the NFL is only showing their games on DirecTV.
Out-of-market games.
Yeah, out-of-market games on DirecTV. That means I miss out on the majority of the season, or the majority of the games during the season, I guess. So what's got me bent is, why don't they have the NFL package? And I know it's about the moolah. I get it. The NFL package should be on Comcast, should be on Charter, should be on Hulu, should be on Netflix, on the NFL Network, whatever. It should be available to anybody. Now, that being said, NFL, you want your money, I get it, okay? So an extra cost, but provide it to all of the cable providers, provide it to all of your streaming services. Give everybody the opportunity to see it, because honestly, I mean, the money's there, but the real money is in your jerseys, in your hats, in your footballs, in your autographs, and all this other stuff that you got going on. That's where the real money's at. So, you know what?
And think of all the more advertising they could get too on all the different networks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're going to get advertising everywhere, but they're going to reach a lot more people if they diversify a little bit, I guess. So NFL, if you can't get the picture, if you can't get the show or the games out to everybody and show everybody the games, get bent on fantasy football.
Get bent, NFL.
Yeah. All right, so I'm off my soapbox now, and we'll go back to our draft last week. So,
okay.
The draft, we had we took a couple of our late round picks. We want to talk about them a little bit, just because we think they're ones that are going to be really, really valuable. There's a couple on my roster. I know there's a couple on yours too that we didn't kind of list here to talk about, but we can give them honorable mention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, cool.
I think, I did reach in round 5. I took TJ Hawkinson, which is about where his ADP was. Usually I don't like to take a tight end, but I was almost in a panic mode because tight ends, and I usually don't do that, but tight ends we're going fast and furious, so I had to take him. But I was extremely happy with my rounds 6 through 9. And these were guys that I were really high on going into the season. Other people, not so much, but I got Brandon Ayuk in the 6th round. I think he has the potential to be a top 10. I said top 15 in my bent prediction a couple weeks ago.
And he's in a great offense. He's in a great scheme for his style of play, too.
Absolutely. I took Mike Davis in the 7th round, starting running back for Atlanta.
Yep.
I don't need him to have the type of numbers he had last year in the first 3-4 weeks when he took over for Christian McCaffrey. Even a slight regression from that's going to be huge.
Right.
So I loved that pick. Then I got Damian Harris, and we'll talk about him in a minute. His situation changed dramatically this morning.
It did.
Damian Harris, who, we're not really sure what his role is going to be, especially with James White still in New England, but I think he's the clear-cut starter from here. And then number 9, Jerry Jeudy. I know all the talk is about Cortland Sutton as the number 1 receiver, but Jerry Jeudy's got the length, he's got the breakout speed, he's got the youth over Cortland Sutton, and he can stay healthy, whereas Cortland Sutton sometimes can't. So I think Jerry Jeudy is a very, very strong candidate for number 1 receiver there.
Let me tell you about Jerry Jeudy. So last year we talked about Jerry Jeudy, right? And you I'm not a college football guy. I don't follow college football. I don't, I very rarely look at clips. I'm an idiot that way. But Josh was telling me that, take a look at some of these clips of Jeudy and see what he can do in at a college level. So I took a look, and the guy's a beast. I mean, he really is. He may not have shown it last year, but think about that Denver offense last year. They didn't even have a quarterback for a game. I mean, how can you excel when you don't even have a quarterback?
I remember
it's
that.
Crazy.
I love it.
First NFL game I've ever seen with no quarterback. It was insane. How do you expect somebody to thrive in that environment? They don't. So that being said, I still drafted Jeudy last year, and I regretted it. He sat on my bench the entire season until I finally dropped him near the end of the year. This year, different story. I'm telling you, Jerry Judy's got all the tools. He's in an offense that's emerging. What I mean by emerging is that they're not there yet, but they're working on getting there. They're doing a lot of things to make that offense right. They're doing a lot of things that are going to prove to be real healthy for that offense down the road. So I like that. I like that Jerry Jeudy pick. Absolutely.
At round 9, I think he's just a steal.
It is, absolutely.
So what are some of your deep sleeper picks then?
Yeah, so we'll talk tight end.
Okay.
In round number 9, I was able to get Noah Fant. Now, I know Noah Fant's, again, not an exciting pick, and he's not, the Gronk or the Travis Kelce or any of the other ones, but Noah Fant's got everything in place. He's a clear-cut number 1 tight end in Denver, first of all. But he's got everything in place to... Jerry Jeudy gonna get his receptions. Fant's gonna get his too, especially around the goal line. They're gonna be looking at Fant. Judy's got the height. Cortland Sutton is also a big name that they talk about how they're gonna use him around the goal line and so on. Didn't see it last year. Didn't see a lot of the goal line snaps that going to anybody other than tight ends or running backs or runs. So. at the point where I was at, tight ends came off the board a little earlier than I would really like. So I thought Noah Fant was a good pick at number 9.
And my heart really sank when you picked Noah Fant because I had him ranked 2 behind T.J. Hawkinson on my tight end depth chart. And right behind Hawkinson is Irv Smith, who is now out for the year. So by default, Noah Fant is the next highest ranked in my rankings as far as tight ends go, and you got him 4 rounds after I did.
And you know what's garbage about that is because I was doing the same thing when you picked Hawkinson, because I wanted Hawkinson to be my kind of the one that nobody's going to be looking at, the one that I can go, ha ha, gotcha suckers, and he's going to be the one saying that this year. So excellent pick, and yeah, I think Noah Fant will work out. He'll do just fine.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so then moving on to the 12th round, I've got wide receiver from Indy, Michael Pittman, as my 12th round pick. Is he a sleeper? Yes. Is he going to be a number 1 receiver? No. But he is a very, very good receiver, and Indy is really, really high on him. Indy leaned on him last year. At the end of the season, his numbers were phenomenal. The last 3 or 4 games, I can't remember right off the top of my head, his numbers were fantastic. He really came into his own. They started throwing the ball to him, looking at him more. So I think this year is going to be the year. I believe this is a sophomore year too. So
it is.
As long as the sophomore jinx stays away from him, he's going to be just fine. He's going to be a fine receiver. And I think with T.Y. Hilton in his twilight years in the NFL, I think Pittman's going to be groomed to be the next number 1 wide receiver in Indy.
And absolutely, and and if you remember correctly, before Wentz went out, Pittman was going in the 6 to 7 range, and to get him in the 12th range, that was another guy who I was actually targeting around that time. But you got him, so congratulations. But I really like Pittman. Now that we know that Wentz injury isn't as serious as once thought, he may miss only 2 games. He's poised for a breakout year, and I love that pick at number 12.
Yeah, and Wentz, I think I think he's so underrated. I think Wentz is going to have a fantastic season. I don't think anybody knows it. I don't think anybody even suspects it. I didn't get Wentz in the draft, but to have him as your backup quarterback, you might be able to trade off your starting quarterback by midseason because he's going to have a fantastic season. I'm calling it right now. I should have made that my bet prediction, but I didn't.
No, you didn't.
All right. So we do have our bet predictions coming up, though.
Before we do, though, we want to talk about big news in the NFL.
Yes.
Regarding the New England Patriots.
Yep.
Cam was officially dropped by the New England Patriots, naming Mac Jones as the starter.
Yeah, it was a shock. I mean, I actually figured that Newton would get dropped, but I didn't figure it'd be during at this point, this early, or maybe even not even this season. I figured it'd be at the end of the season. But surprise move, they just dropped him like a bad habit.
Yes. Now I know Belichick hasn't been one to tolerate rule breakers over his career, and we've seen that many, many times. When Cam made the mistake of the protocol infraction last week and had to stay away from the team for 5 days.
Misunderstanding.
Yeah, the misunderstanding. You could tell Belichick wasn't too happy about it. And I figured he wouldn't be, but I was shocked. I didn't think it would come to this. I didn't think they would release him.
You know what? I want to change my what's got me bent. What's got me bent is Cam Newton. That's what's got me bent.
Are you talking about his wild outfits he wears, or?
Well, that too. But not in particular. That's not exactly. But yes, I hate those outfits. But what's got me bent is the fact that Cam Newton had a misunderstanding. Okay, so he went the entire 2020 season understanding just fine. It didn't change, Cam. It's the same. How can you not understand? How can there be a miscommunication or a misunderstanding? I'm not going to go into his personal beliefs. I don't really care why he's doing what he's doing or what he did. I'm just saying it's the same as 2020. Why is there a misunderstanding? I don't get it.
Maybe that leprechaun hat kind of had his brain clouded or
The
something.
big feather, maybe it was stuck into his brain. And
Yeah, possibly.
caused a brain aneurysm.
But I think because of Cam Newton's drop, that's really going to add value to some of these skill positions in New England.
Yeah, I do too. And we talked about the running back situation there.
Yeah, Cam Newton was the goal line back last year.
Yes, he was. And I think that's obviously that's all going to change. I don't think their new quarterback, their new starting quarterback, is going to be the goal line answer. So I think you're going to see some pretty cool things coming out of the backfield.
I do too, and I hope so.
Yeah, I know you do. All right. So we do want to touch base on one other thing. We've got a severe need for you guys to like and share. We totally didn't mention that. So
and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe on our YouTube page. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you're only getting half the show. So go to YouTube and see the other half. So we need you to do that. But we do also want to talk about our bet predictions for this week. And it is my turn to go first. So my bet prediction is going to soar us right up to week number 1, the Thursday night game, which is, let's see, that's not this next Thursday, not tomorrow. It's
the following Thursday,
yeah,
8 days from now.
So yeah, 8 days. You know what? We've got something coming up 7 days from now.
We do.
Yeah, it's Marco's Vapor or Bust. That's right. We're going to be
on Polish Drive
right,
in Cherry Valley.
Yep, right across from Bush Jewelers, out by Cherryville Mall. Make sure you're out there with us. So had to get another plug for Marco. He's a good buddy of mine, so had to get another plug in for him. But we are going to do our bet predictions, and like I said, first game of the season: Dallas Cowboys, Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm not going to pick a winner. I know who's going to win, but I can't tell you that because it's like a secret. So my bet prediction is going to be that Mr. Prescott throws more than Mr. Brady, or I shouldn't say throws more yards than Mr. Brady. I think they're both going to end up with 3 touchdowns. I think it's going to be a shootout. But at the end of the day, Dak is going to have more yards than Brady. That's my bet prediction.
I like it.
What
my bet prediction is, and a lot of people are super hyped about Trey Lance out of San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
My bet prediction is that Garoppolo will actually start more games this year than Lance.
Ooh.
And I know that's a real risky call because
I like it. It's got some edge to it. I like it. Yeah.
But that job right now is Garoppolo's to lose, not Trey Lance's to win. Right. So, and I think that defense is going to keep him in games. How can you pull Garoppolo if you start 5-1, 6-2?
You can't.
Yeah, you really can't.
No, not and keep your sanity anyway, and your fan base and your job.
So I think that goes beyond popular belief, and that's probably the riskiest yet. But I think Garoppolo will start more games than Trey Lance this year. All
right, we got it marked down in the books, and we're gonna actually probably put a little board up here and put our bet predictions up here.
We'll do it by season start, so we can start keeping track of those.
Yeah, and then we'll start crossing them off and taking all of Josh's off there when they're wrong, and putting a big circle and stars around mine when they're right. Because that's how it's gonna go. I mean,
you wish.
All right. So, I don't think I have anything else. Do you, Josh?
I don't. Okay. Besides, see us next week at Marco's.
Yeah. Now we will do a show on Wednesday, or we'll be posting another show on Wednesday from Tuesday night. So we're gonna do 2 shows next week. The big one is gonna be on Wednesday night. It's going to be the live one, but we are going to have another show posted up either Tuesday night or Wednesday of next week. It's our regular show, so join us for that. Until then,
what are we going to talk about in that show?
Which one?
The Tuesday show.
We're going to talk about how great the Wednesday show is going to be.
Yeah, that's right. We'll also, as every day goes by, there's more NFL news that gets released. So we'll talk about some of that, the impact that it'll have on fantasy. Movers and shakers, players rising and falling. Yeah, so
I guess the idea for next week is we're going to kind of go into some of the things, that we're done with drafting. I'll just let you know that now. We're done with drafting. Everybody's going to have their draft done by that time, so we're done with that. But we are going to go into some of the things that we're looking to see in week 1 of the NFL, some of the players to watch for, and then maybe on Wednesday during the live show we can do our start 'em and sit 'em.
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fantastic. So until next week, we will see you guys next week. And until then, make sure you get bent on fantasy football. Have a good one, everyone.